Welcome to Soto Creations, where we make your imagination a reality. We are starting out today's decor with this greenery backdrop that I pulled from my attic. I am noticing that my crossbar is too long for the backdrop. I have two boxes of this backdrop. I had assembled one and I rolled it up and kept it in the attic, but I realized I need to put another panel on that left side so that I can create a full backdrop. I used this in the past, but I used it on a wall, so I didn't have to use that. And I thought also that with a bigger family, I need a bigger backdrop. I'm showing you how these panels come. One side has these knobs all along through the side, so we have about 4 or 5 of those knobs that go all along, and the other sides have the hole that you would push those knobs through for it to be secure. And I'll show you how I put that together closer up, coming up pretty soon. So I'm just attaching one row of these backdrops. At the end, I'll have 4 across and 4 downwards to create this backdrop. So that's what I'm doing here. The hedge backdrop I really like because it creates such a dimension, and being my Easter backdrop, I decided to recreate this decor thing that I did before I started my YouTube channel, before I made it official. So here I am closer up, trying to get the greenery out of the way so I can actually show you how this is assembled. So as you can see, you have the knob right there, and you just push that hole right through the knob, and that is how you attach the greenery. You'll see how it's easy for me to just pick it up and it doesn't fall apart. So another better view right there, you push through and you have that panel all together. So the last time I created the Easter backdrop with this was when the twins were 9 months old, and they were so little looking back at the pictures, but now they're close to 3. With the crossbar, you want to make sure that part is pointing down, because that's what you're going to hook onto your upright. So don't make a mistake and connect it to your backdrop pointing up, or you'll have to take everything apart and connect it down. I'm using I always forget when I have to say this word, but before I put those on, I'm connecting my 260Qs onto the backdrop, because the greenery wall is going to go over my backdrop. You're not going to see it when I hook up the backdrop. So I'm using zip ties is the word I was thinking about. I couldn't think of zip ties to attach it. Of course, your zip ties need to point backwards, not upwards, so they don't pop your balloons or show through your decor. So you want to pull down and get it just connected to the back, not low enough where they're poking through your backdrop either. Now I'm lifting everything up, attaching it to my uprights, and just straightening everything out so that it's nice and straight, making attachments right there. So next, I connect a couple of 260Qs, but not too wild about it. I'll finish connecting those later on. I'm going to show you what the pieces look like when they fall off. They just have a similar hole, and that's how they fit the greenery onto each panel. So you can see how I'm fitting that in. It's really easy. No big deal. I realized later, after I did this backdrop, the twins had pulled a few off, but I just put them back on. No big deal. The balloons I'm using are Betalatex in 18 inches, which are like 25 balloons. I have 11 inches that are 100 balloons, and I have the 5 inches that are 100 balloons as well. I just bought the pack of pastel colors, just the assorted mix, so I can use that for this backdrop. There's not a set number of each color that comes in the pack. It's just completely mixed in, assorted, but there are 5 colors. So you have the purple, the blue, the yellow, the green, and the pink. So what I'm doing here is just creating clusters of 6 balloons with one 18-inch, because I only have 25 of the 18 inches to use. So I'm putting one 18-inch in each 6 balloon cluster, and making sure that all the balloons are represented. Down the road, what I end up doing is whatever balloon is my 18-inch, I do the same color in the 11-inch so that I have 6 balloons, because I only have 5 colors. So the 2 balloons that are on there, the same would be the one big 18 and the same color in the 11-inch. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm just working on inflating all of these so that I can assemble this beautiful garland. Now, this garland is for Easter. I don't know if you guys celebrate Easter at all, but let's just talk about Easter for a second. This season is so precious to me and my family, and most Christians out there that take time to celebrate Easter. Easter is all about Jesus Christ's resurrection. So as Christians, we go through a period that is called Lent, and the Lent season ends with Easter. So Lent goes from talking about Jesus Christ's life through his death and his resurrection. So we have Easter Sunday, where it represents Jesus Christ resurrecting. The simple explanation to Easter would be that you consider that we are sinners, or we've committed crimes that we are doomed and condemned for life, and Jesus Christ comes and takes our place and takes all that sin upon himself and dies, but not only dies on considered Black Friday, which was the Friday that just passed, but dies and wipes all that away, gives us a clean slate. Such a beautiful story of redemption and grace. And we celebrate that he's resurrected, meaning that he has defeated Satan, he has defeated sin, he has defeated death, obviously, and he brings us to life to him in Christ. So it's an exciting moment. I grew up as a Christian back home, and I just enjoy the whole season because we were intense in how we celebrated Easter. We went to church day in, day out. I was in a choir growing up, and we would just practice all the time. Felt like we lived in church for this period, and it was fun, the singing and the whole thought. We looked forward to celebrating this Easter Sunday, because who is not glad if someone has paid the price for their sin and they're free? They have a clean slate. It's emotional thinking about it. Like, you are doomed. Think of like the worst sinner, and you're doomed to life, for like going to prison for life, eternal death, and someone just takes you off the hook. You're like mouth open, like, how is this possible? But that's what Christ did for all of us. So it's an exciting time. Now, I guess because of the period Easter is celebrated, being the spring season, we go into all these beautiful pastel colors that represent Easter and just bring such happiness and just create that new transition. I can't speak much to the whole thought about bunnies and eggs and that kind of thing for Easter, because that's not what I know growing up. But it's fun to see the kids play around and hunt for Easter eggs and things like that. But that is just a little bit or long spill about Easter and the excitement behind Easter. I found out recently that I guess Easter is the second most attended time for church. For people who usually don't go to church, Christmas is the first and Easter is the second. So a lot of churches here plan towards that quite a bit to get people welcomed into church and things like that. So if you don't mind, tell me how you celebrate Easter or what traditions you have for Easter, or if you don't celebrate it at all, I would like to know your thoughts about this season. So thank you for sharing in advance. Now, I forgot to tell you that if this is your first time tuning in, you're welcome. Of course, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really supports the channel and helps me push to keep making more videos, especially when I see your feedback and all your comments. And if you've already subscribed and you've been following the channel for some time, I really appreciate you, and a big thank you to you as well. So we are close to being done with inflating all these clusters of balloons. Towards the end, I get to where I have just 5 clusters put together instead of the 6, because I'm limited on the 25. I'm limited on the 11 inches, and I have like twice the amount of the 25 inches. So I end up putting 2 of the 25 inches in the 6-inch clusters, and those balloons are what I put on the bottom to create a bigger feel, if you don't notice that later on in the video. So we're moving on, kind of processing through the balloon garland, and we're going to sort out all the balloons we have to try and figure out what we have left over. But that is what I'm thinking through right now on how I'm going to process this whole thing. I mentioned before that I created this backdrop in the past, and it was fun to put together. Then I didn't have a business. Didn't have the uprights. I just used command hooks to attach the greenery wall to a wall, which is something you can do if you don't have the upright. It is pretty heavy, so you would have to attach your command hooks and wait for them to really set, and use good command hooks to hook it on. But when I did that, these balloons lasted about 2 weeks. The backdrop stayed on there for about 2 weeks or more, and it did fairly well. So you can still use the greenery wall. I'll see if I can find the greenery wall and link it below. I bought it on Amazon, not quite a decent price, so you can do that for yourself. So this is the part where I'm adding 2 of the 18 inches to the cluster instead of having just 1 of the 18 inches. I'm putting that towards the back so that I'll remember to use those for the base. I believe I end up with 4 of those. Now we move on to our 5-inch balloons. These were really easy to inflate. They were fast. Of course, I was pushing through to work real fast. I think I had things going on, either trying to pick the kids up from school or something like that, but I'm rushing through to get them done. So I decide here to just create pairs of each balloon. I'm just alternating colors as well. I don't yet have a plan at this point on how I'm going to use them, because I have 100. So I was thinking I would do some of the balloon ropes, but I end up just creating clusters just to fill up the garland, and I like that option better because of how many different colors there are. It wouldn't look as great. I would probably need 2 bags or 3 to be able to do full balloon ropes to look good for this backdrop, because there are quite a few balloons that have to go all around the garland. So with the clusters, putting different colors together, just alternating. I have 1 balloon left in all 3 bags, and it's one of the 5 inches. Now we're going to assemble our full garland. I'm making adjustments here, trying to show you all the balloons we have inflated. So 111 inches, 25, 18 inches, and of course 100 of the 5 inches. So we're going to assemble all this together. As you assemble, make sure that you're paying attention to your 18-inch balloons so that you're alternating what colors are coming next. So you see how I pick up that pink and realize I have a pink in my hand already. So I'm attaching the purple and now the pink, and then I think it's like the blue or something in that line. So I'm just looking at it and making sure I don't have 2 of the same colors. I'm going to show you in here. I'm pulling that blue balloon, which is the same balloon on the bottom, and the purple is the same one at the top there. You can see that the blue one is a lot stretchier than the purple. I'm pulling out as far as I can. I'm showing you this because you want to use the balloon that is the stretchiest if you want to save your fingers. Okay, so pull the one that is the stretchiest, and a lot of times it's the smaller balloon, the 11-inch that is stretchier than the 18 inches. So use the 11 inches to tie your clusters together. Don't hurt your fingers, especially if you're going to inflate this many balloons. Of course, if you're in a rush, I just grab whatever neck is there available and I just tie it as much as I can. I pull onto it and tie it. But if you have time, you just grab the neck that's the stretchiest, and that enables you to tie the clusters together a lot easier. I'm raising the backdrop here and tying my 260s. I'm also threading the 260 through the backdrop and tying that onto the upright so that that backdrop doesn't move around when I'm connecting everything together. So once this is done, then we'll work on assembling. As you can see, I did not assemble all the balloons because I want to attach this first piece, then continue by extending, because I have quite a few balloons in front of me. I figured if I attach the whole thing together, it will be harder to work with. So I'm just attaching this part first, and then I'll move on to creating another cluster. So you want to pull that 260Q as far out as you can and wrap it around the balloons to secure it in place. And you can see it's all in place and it's all set. So I'm making adjustments so you can see what I'm doing. I started trying to make short videos with another camera, which that takes a lot more time, but I feel like it's cool to edit those short videos as well. So it's been a new experience for me. I think I mentioned that in my previous video. So hopefully you guys enjoy the short videos as well. So now I'm attaching. I realized that those were two blue balloons. Hopefully you caught that. So I put a yellow there and I go to the other end that has the purple and attach that, just so that I don't have a blue right after the yellow as well. So now we're climbing on the ladder to attach the balloon on there, and we'll finish off attaching the rest. But you want to make sure you're adjusting your balloons. You're twisting things around, getting it nice and straight. You're not staggering balloons where they're not straight and looking weird. Right now you can see that right, and you can see the pole in that corner. So you want to make sure that you're twisting everything around so that you get everything nice and even. So that's what I'm working on. So hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial today, and you've received a couple of tips so far as attaching your balloon or creating your balloon garland. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. I'll be glad to answer them. I'm pretty good about responding to everybody's comments so far. So we're attaching everything. That seems longer on the bottom, so I twist it around just to create a fuller look on the bottom there, and I'll move it here in a bit. The distance that I'm filming is not that far away, so it makes it a little harder for you to see, but it's full on the bottom. The left side is not, so I grab this other cluster of balloons to fill that end as well, so to make things a little bit even. Of course, I've been stepping back to look at the design to make sure that everything fits real nice and well from my view, and you've seen me do that several times in the past. So I'm attaching all my 5-inch balloons. We're close to the end, guys. Thank you for watching so far. Really appreciate you guys. Hope you're really learning something. With these 5-inch balloons, you want to make sure that the same colors are not touching the 11-inch or the bigger balloon. So when I place them on there, you want to be strategic enough to turn it around or twist it around so that the same color doesn't touch, like the same color of the 5-inch don't touch the 11 inches. So that's what I work on here. This backdrop just reminds me so much of calmness. When I look at these colors, it just makes me calm. At this point, I'm attaching my letters onto the backdrop using some fishing line. The goal here is that you would thread the fishing line through the greenery, tie a couple of knots, then when you put your letter, you tie it in the front of the letter, and that keeps your letter in place. So again, you want to thread your, I couldn't spell at this point. I had to switch the letters. Thank God I caught that before I put it in place, because this was not an easy thing to do. But here I am, just wrapping that fishing line that I put already to secure that H in place. Wrap it around and then make sure you tie 3 knots, not 2, because the 2 is gonna slip. You want to tie 3 knots to make sure it's nice and secure. And that is about it. Please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss any videos. I have some exciting videos lined up for you guys coming up. And again, don't forget to tell me what you did for Easter. I would love to read about it. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for supporting my channel. I hope you had a wonderful Easter and that you learned something from this video. Have a blessed day.